Hello and welcome. This is Michelle. Thanks for stopping by my channel, PaperStampInk, where you'll receive tips, techniques, and tutorials to inspire you in creating your own cards and paper craft projects. So if that sounds like something that would benefit you, please go ahead and tap the red button down there. Hit the bell so you can get notifications. That way you won't miss out on any future videos. So these are a couple of samples of ones that I've put together already, and these I'm going to be selling at my craft fair. So this is part of my craft fair series. This is a little clutch style notepad holder. So I just want to show you kind of what they look like all put together, but we're going to go through and make one of these together. And I've already done a lot of the prep work to save us some time. So let's go through our paper, stamp, and ink. So for the paper, I have pumpkin pie. And I have this cut at 8.5 by 9, and then on the 9-inch side, it is scored at 3 inches, 3 1/4, 7 inches, and 7 1/4. And I've already gone ahead and done that scoring on that as well. I also have a piece of 8.5 by 1.5 inch cardstock that we're going to use for a band. And then I have a couple of DSP pieces that we're going to use to decorate the front. Now these are retired. I'm sorry to show you retired stuff, but I just couldn't resist using this paper that was part of the coffee themed series that went with our coffee stamp last catalog. So, but you can use this and mix up the paper, mix up the stamps, mix up your cardstock to coordinate with your pads that you have. And so these are cut at 2 3/4 by 8.5 and 1.5 by 8.5. And then I have another piece of cardstock. This is going to be for a note card that's going to go with this at 3 by 6, scored at the 3-inch mark. And then another piece of that designer series paper at 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. And then the last piece of paper I have is this one that is 6 inches by 3.5, scored at 1.75 inches, 1 3/4 inches. And this is going to be for our topper. And then the other paper I have is just a paper pad that I found. I found these last season actually. They were on clearance, and I picked them up thinking they would be cute to do a project with. So these say pumpkin spice everything, and the coffee cup there. So that's why I just felt like I had to pull out that coffee themed paper. Then I did use a couple of scraps to go with our stamp and dies that we're using. So the stamp set I'm using is Coffee Cafe, and I'm going to be utilizing this sentiment in there. And then I've got the coffee cup framelits. I've gone ahead and die cut from the coffee cup framelits a white coffee cup and a pumpkin pie lid to coordinate with our paper. So these are still available in the catalog. The designer series paper, however, is not. So let's go ahead and get started. Oh, ink. I forgot to say what ink I'm using. And so I'm using this pumpkin pie ink. And then I do have one other stamp that I want to mention. This is from a retired set. If you are selling your paper craft projects, you do need to have a stamp on there per the Angel policy from Stampin' Up. They allow us to utilize things for resale like that, but it's part of their Angel policy, and other companies have it as well. Stampin' Up makes it pretty easy. All we have to do is put a little copyright stamp on the project somewhere. And there are 2 stamp sets in the catalog. There is the Crafting Forever, and I think the other one is the Share What You Love stamp set. So there are a couple of options available there. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. I do find it easier. You can put your DSP on first and fold later. I just find it a little bit easier for me to see exactly where I'm placing that paper if I have it pre-scored. So this is going to close like that. Now these do not have a specific pattern on them, so it's not as much of an issue on my paper as far as which side is up or down. And I'm bringing in our detailed trio punch because I just think that it looks a lot nicer if these have some rounded edges on them. You don't have to do that if you're making a bunch of these and you want to skip that step. You sure can. And while we have this out, I'm going to just do 2 sides of this. And the reason I'm only doing 2 sides is because it's going to fit on there just like that. And so I've only got the rounded corner on one side and straight on the other. So I'm matching that up with my paper. So here's where you'd want to be careful if you had directional paper that you were going ahead and doing your corner rounding on the right parts. All right, so we've got this ready to go, and I'm going to use my Tombow Mono Multi Glue and adhere this down. I'm just putting a thin bead around here and a little bit down the middle. You really don't have to use a whole lot. I find that for the most part, people want to utilize way more of this than you need. And hey, we want it to last so we can spend our money on other fun stamp sets and designer series paper. So if you have are watching this before September 15th and you're interested in picking up some of the beautiful current designer series paper, I am doing a paper share with Holiday Catalog, and I'll include a link to that video down below. And it's a great way to get a wide variety of the paper without having to buy each individual pack. So I think it's a great way to get your hands on a bunch of this stuff. So this is our paper pad, and I'm just going to slide this. I'm not going to really measure exactly. I'm just going to slide this through and just fold it over instead of trying to know exactly where my score lines are going to be. I don't want this super tight, and the reason I'm putting this belly band on, you could of course simply glue your back of your pad right into the holder, but I would like to make mine where people can replace it when they run out. So you are going to want to make sure you are testing out before you take these measurements and just run with them, test out what size your paper pad is. Now mine is a 3" by 8.5. If yours is wider or shorter, you may need to adjust. Definitely if it's wider, you're going to need to adjust your score lines. If it's shorter, you could decide to move this down and kind of center it on there. That is an option as well. But you do want to, before you go and cut a bunch of these out and score them, make sure that you do that and make sure your measurements are going to work. Now, if I'm doing a project for the first time where I'm having to figure out my own measurements, then I will use just a cheap sheet of copy paper to put that together, so that way I'm not wasting any of my good cardstock if I get the measurements wrong. So that's just a little tip on when I have something new and I'm trying to just figure out measurements so I don't have a lot of waste. So what I did, I'm bringing in a couple of Velcro pieces. I actually took one of the Velcro dot sets and I just cut it in half because I didn't feel like I needed a whole one on here, and I put on this flap, and I'm going to fold that over and place that right there. And the stamping, you could leave these plain on the front. You could put a sentiment on the front. There's a lot of choices, especially depending on your paper. You can do different things to coordinate with that. But I thought we've got this cute coffee set, and so I wanted to use the Coffee Cafe stamp set. And I am going to bring in that pumpkin pie, and I'll bring my mat over. Since this is a photopolymer set, I want to make sure that I've got some cushioning, get the best impression that I can. And I'm going to put this a little bit further down on the bottom, knowing that I've got that lid to put on there. And I'll find the lid here and just put a little dot of glue here. If you guys haven't had a chance to check out the new catalog, you're going to want to make sure you do that. Lots of fun new sets. Not just all Christmas stuff. There are definitely some in there that you can use year-round, especially some of that designer series paper. You know, I love that it's all double-sided, so we get some options with our paper that you're not stuck with one theme. And because generally the back side of the papers, or one side of the paper, is a little bit more monochromatic or tone on tone, and not really a specially themed paper that you can use. All right, so we've got our little coffee cup down on there. I'm going to make sure before I forget, come in here and put my copyright stamp on there. So you see, it doesn't have to be, you know, this huge thing that stands out when you're putting your craft projects together. Now let's talk about how did I package these up. So first off, I'm going to take off one of these sheets, and the reason I did that is when I package these, I like to put one of the sheets on the back, unless it's just plain paper. Then I can let people know, oh, there's just plain paper, no cute design on there. But if there's a design, I want them to see that and know what it is, and I find that it helps me from having to answer tons and tons of questions too, or people wanting to take things out, because I do like to, let's see, go ahead and fold this because we can punch two of these rounded corners on our note card at the same time. But yeah, I find otherwise people are wanting to take things out of the packaging, which, two things: one, that takes time away from what I'm trying to handle other customers' questions, and two, if they're taking it out, doesn't ever get put back quite the same way. And thirdly, it sometimes can get damaged, or, you know, fingerprints on there, and so we don't want that. So more things I can do to make it easier, the better. So this is just a simple note card, and the reason I'm doing that is I thought, you know, again, so that people have more value in there, I'm going to put a piece of that on the back, and then I'm going to put a note card in there too, and so they're going to get to either keep a little note card, or if they want to write a note to the person that they're gifting this to, they can use that. It's just a kind of an added bonus. And then I need to pick a pin. Let's see, I've got a couple over here. I pick up these gel pens. I think I'm going to go ahead and use that orangish one. I pick up these gel pens whenever I see them on sale, because they're great to put with my journals. You know, some of the things with doing craft fairs that will improve the sales of your products are just the little added extras, like including a pen with the journal, the way you package your projects. So for me, I like to have a stash of different yarns and twines. I'm just going to wrap this around here a few times. Cut this off. And, you know, the twine's not used to hold anything closed, but it's going to provide a place for my pen to rest, and it just adds a little bit of a extra touch there. And you know, it's kind of funny, those things that seem so little that really make your projects stand out more than others. So on the back, I've got my note card and a sample of what the paper is inside. I'm going to go ahead and slide my pen in there. And then I have these bags that I package all of my things in bags just to keep them from getting damaged. And this is a 6x9 bag, and I do like to buy the ones that have the seal strip on it. And I'm going to place this upside down so that the closure is going to be on the back, and I like to leave the openings on the bottom, so that way it's easy for me to take out if I need to take it out for some reason, or if the person wants to take it out and you know, fill out this notepad or that note card before they give it to their friend then that's great too. So you go ahead and just score this, or fold this pre-scored piece. And the one other tool that you're going to need is a stapler. And I'm going to bring that in. The other reason I'm putting that note card in is I want to, I'm trying to put all of my different paper pads and journals and notepads, the more simplistic ones. I haven't explored albums and traveler's notebooks or really more in-depth projects yet. So mine are still very simple for as far as the whole scheme of things can go in the crafting world. And I want to try and come up with a price point where people can interchange them. So I am thinking that what I'd like to price all of my different notepads and composition journals and mini legal journals at is $5. So, you know, including the pin, including the note card, I feel like that's a fair price. And then I'm going to put them also at a discount. So maybe 3 for $12 or 3 for $13. So people get a little discount. I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to go, but I need to decide that since my first craft fair is coming up in less than a month here. I better get some decisions on what my pricing is going to be. So the only other thing that I would do with this, and I'll go and do all of these at one time, is I will make a label and either use the pretty label punch or a circle label, oval label. It just kind of depends on the project, but I will make up just on my printer type out descriptions of what these items are and put that on the front. So I like to make sure people know it's a notepad with a note card and pin included, that these are interchangeable. So I'll also have signage at my craft fair. And then the other thing is on the back, I'm going to want to make sure to put my business name and my contact information because I want them to be able to get a hold of me when they decide they would like to order some more of these. So I hope you guys enjoyed this project and this helped you out with some of your gift giving or your craft fair items. If you're participating in craft fairs, hey, give me a note. Let me know what you're doing at your craft fairs and when they're coming up. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. I sure do appreciate the feedback to let me know that you like the information that I'm putting out there. You guys have a great day and keep creating.